This is Phoenix. As you may or may not know, I suffer from a mental illness. It's generally classified as schizoaffective disorder with bipolar symptoms. So that means I basically have schizophrenia with bipolar symptoms, which includes mania as well as sadness, depression, even, or at least depressive symptoms. Recently, I relapsed, and I wanted to talk about in this video my trip to the hospital and essentially what led up to it. So basically, it's kind of hard to say uh, what led up to it. It just seemed to be a number of things. Basically, what happened was during this time, I'd had a lot of intense experiences, both physical and mental, in the physical world and in the mental world. You know, so that includes like psychosis as well as experiences with people, and generally, I would say the psychosis and mania seemed to be getting worse, and it really came to a head the day that I chose to voluntarily go to the hospital. So I would say yes, I relapsed not too long ago in September of 2016, and I'm obviously not happy to say this because I thought that I'd built a conceptual apparatus to stay strong and to keep myself built, so to speak, mentally. Um, but it started with just interesting triggers. So, bad influences, for instance, I won't go into the details, but just bad influences. People trying to influence me to do drugs, as well as do unfortunate things by way of the body. And it was really confusing. Um, I was I remember in this period I was very very sensitive emotionally to a lot of things. So I basically watched The Jungle Book and I was crying. I was watching the new live action film, and I was crying like every 5 minutes because something like struck. I remember walking up to the University of Utah thinking that I had a plan and that I was going to confront my past because, as Mowgli says in the movie, I'm not afraid of you anymore, and he says that to Shere Khan the tiger. And I thought that I was going to confront my bad guy. Often in my fiction, when I'm talking about the street kid Phoenix, I talk about the bad guy, who is Phoenix's nemesis, and I thought that I was going to finally confront my bad guy, whoever that may be. And this was going to be by confronting my past. And so I walked up, but I walked up to the U, and that was a really, really long walk to the university. And I had a lot of interesting experiences on the way. So, for instance, I saw a building that had been burned, and I basically thought that like the city was being destroyed. Um, a very interesting delusion that I have is when I get very, very psychotic, I start to think that the world is disappearing. So I literally think that even though there's an external world, it literally ceases to have any relevance and value, meaning, purpose, and existence in my life. So I basically have to do things. So in a sense, I'm losing so much touch with reality. I'm losing such touch with reality that I think that everything around me is disappearing, and I become more and more engaged mentally with all of my thoughts, and I think that that's all that I have. So I have to do things like make YouTube videos and write to remember that I'm alive, literally, and make sure that and make sure that I'm still here. It's a very weird phenomenon. Um, I remember getting bit by mosquitoes a few times and having itches on my ankle and on I think my hand. I don't remember exactly where, but I had some itches, and that was uncomfortable because I was like, why am I getting bit by mosquitoes? Why can't I see butterflies? And so that obviously influenced a lot of how I saw things. Um, and it was just weird the way that the external world was alienating me, and the way that my internal world was itself becoming alienated. Um, and all of this is understandable. There was a lot going on. I mean, I had essentially finally acknowledged publicly my same-sex attractions, not necessarily knowing what that meant, what I need to do with that, what I should do with it, but I was trying to figure that out. I remember during this time I also had an obsession with B.F. Skinner because I was thinking a lot about positive reinforcements and negative reinforcements. I basically felt like society and the physical world was structured to be nothing but negative reinforcements, to be nothing but punishments. And so I remember going up to the U's library, looking up books on Skinner and reading Skinner's notebooks. That was an interesting experience in and of itself. In fact, I would say it was a very beautiful experience. um, because he had a lot of interesting ideas. Um, and I had some other delusions. I remember asking um, who I call the muses to show me some secrets, because that's usually what they do in past psychotic episodes. And they they did show me secrets in a sense by showing me a book called Secrets, believe it or not. So that was an interesting coincidence. And so there was a lot that happened. But it got worse whenever I went up to the School of Medicine, and I'll read this passage so you get an idea of what it felt like. I went up to the University School of Medicine, and that was intense. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. I was having pain in my genital areas, probably psychosomatic, and I saw images, tons of images, graphic images of violence toward the body, of painful surgery. How the fuck do people become surgeons? How can they concentrate on the chiefly horrible fragility of the human body? The human body should be beautiful, and I wanted to see beauty. But seeing these graphic images evoked pain in me, the violence, the despair, the openness, organs. So I went to the bathroom and took a photo of my pill bottle on the shelf in front of the bathroom mirror and posted it on Grindr. Then a guy sent an innuendo suggesting he'd sleep with a hospital patient, or so that was my understanding. I was so strung out I wasn't sure. I walked out of the bathroom feeling okay, to a room where there were hospital beds. I thought this would be a comforting place, but the next thing I knew I was experiencing an intense pain in my genital areas and groin pelvis. Perhaps because I was walking in the building I saw so many words I didn't understand, but the designated types of surgeries and parts of the body. Fascioctomy maybe. I was frustrated I couldn't talk my way out of this psychosomatic pain. It was the worst feeling in the world. The pain felt real. I was going to be operated on to no end. This was going to be my ultimate punishment, and I knew it. I knew it would happen. I had no choice. This was what I deserved for being a monist, a material agent, made of nothing but human flesh and blood. Bone. This was what I deserved. Never had I seen so much pain. God bless the doctors, certainly. And of course, surgeons. Traumatized, literally shaking with fear at my fate and at what people go through, I went outside slowly, gingerly, in pain. I was still feeling the psychosomatic pain, but I thought I'd walked in my white death. A metaphor which meant I thought I'd faced my fears and seen what was awaiting me symbolically, perhaps literally, in the future of my life or even life after death, when I go to hell, where everything feels electric, where everything feels confusing and just crazy, crazy indeed, and more than crazy, pure torment, pure gnashing of teeth, death. So obviously it was a very, very intense experience, and I would say that that was probably the height of the pain. But the thing is, the more that I saw, the more that I felt that I was seeing a destroyed city, and all of my delusions were being reinforced, the worse I became. So I remember going home, taking tracks, and literally by the time I got home, I was so exhausted and so defeated, so drained, so destroyed, that I remember looking in the mirror and basically staring, wide-eyed, in pain, just suffering, mentally, even physically, because I was just exhausted and tired, having psychosomatic pain, and I was just like, what is the meaning of life? What matters in this life and what is important to me? And in that moment, I didn't know. I just knew that I wanted to die, essentially, because I was sick of everything that I was experiencing. That was when I decided that I needed to go to the hospital. So I went to a friend, he drove me to the hospital to intake, and the next thing I knew I was committing myself. And I feel like it was the right thing to do, even though I hate the mental hospital. I've always seen it as a negative reinforcement, but it felt like the right thing to do. As a side note, I would say a friend of mine said he honestly can't believe that I'm even alive because of how intense and extreme my delusions are, how intense my psychosis can be. But I think that the fact that I am alive shows how strong we can be. It shows how powerful the mind can be, how powerful resolution and will can be. And I think that that's super important. That's about all I have for now. If you're interested, you can find the essay in which I was getting some of my ideas from. You can find an essay that I wrote in 3 parts, and you can find it on my blog. My blog is at stephenhurdwordpress.com. I believe it's on WordPress, and you can find it if you go to my About page, and to the About page on the YouTube channel, and then click on the Phoenix Rises link. That'll take you to my Amazon page, and on my Amazon page I have the blog. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. This is Phoenix, and thank you.